Now, how's that for an opening sequence, huh, kids? Well, hello, everybody. This is Starman, and welcome to the first chapter of Let's Play Under a Killing Moon. This is the third Tex Murphy game, but in a lot of ways, it's actually the first. At least a lot of people think it's the first, because this one got a lot more press and a lot wider release than Mean Streets and Martian Memorandum did. And in a spiritual sense, this was kind of the first game that really accomplished what Chris Jones had in mind for the Tex Murphy games. Because this is the first game where he recruited Aaron Connors, who had played a role, one of the digitized actors in Martian Memorandum. He was recruited as a writer for the series because he was apparently a bit of a novelist, and Chris Jones was an aspiring filmmaker, but he didn't have a chance to focus on that and acting and doing the writing, so Aaron Connors chipped in with the script and wrote a novelization of the game, which I don't know if for certain this is the first video game to get a novelization based on it, but it's definitely one of the first, and the novels based on the Tex Murphy games are among some of the best books that are based on a game series you'll ever read. I highly recommend tracking them down. In fact, you get a special PDF copy of the Under a Killing Moon novelization when you download this off of Good Old Games. And it has a new refined edition that has a new introduction by Chris Jones talking about how he and Aaron Connors came together to work on this game. But yeah, historically, this is a very important game. It was one of the first to take advantage of the then relatively new CD-ROM technology, or at least new and inexpensive CD-ROM technology. It originally shipped on 4 CDs, and it was one of the first video games to employ real Hollywood actors in acting out the roles, and not just doing voices, but full digitized, captured on film and turned into digital video action. But with no further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on this. And I'll go ahead and start a new game. And it didn't.
So, they found it again, have they? I thought we'd taken care of it.
The forces of evil are persistent, sir.
I'm getting too old for this. Who have we got lined up to deal with this problem?
George Bailey?
Murphy, sir.
Oh, no, not Murphy.
Afraid so, sir.
What about Spade or Marlowe?
Dead, sir.
Isn't there anyone else?
Sorry, sir, he's next on the list.
Well, I suppose we'll have to make do. Knowing Murphy, he's going to need help. A lot of help.
I'll check the archives and get back to you, sir.
Excellent, Smithers.
News of the day. As the Second World War enters its final days, Allied forces are on the march. The troops of the Western Alliance are occupied with the dangerous duty of ferreting out the remaining pockets of Nazi resistance. The storming of Berlin has crushed the heart of German opposition and sent remnants of the Fuhrer's troops scurrying into the dark reaches of the Black Forest. The Germans have vowed to fight to the last man in their quest for world domination. But their days are numbered, with Adolf Hitler dead and the once dreaded SS disbanded. The Allies have exposed the workings of the Nazi war machine and found it festering with ancient blood cults, whose rituals and ceremonies are too astonishing and barbaric to detail. Allied forces will not rest until the last cult member has been revealed and captured.
No pestilence has ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and horror of blood.
Yeah, you don't get much darker than James Earl Jones reading Edgar Allan Poe. Before the dawn of time, a race of druids. Nobody knew who they were or where they came from. and Art Carney in The Honeymooners. Oh, not really. Love that slam we get as every credit comes in.
In the moonlight, New San Francisco sparkles like a chunk of cubic zirconium, an island of hollow beauty surrounded by a red sea of radiation. 5 million souls drowning in gamma rays. Some lucky people have a natural immunity to genetic mutation caused by the radiation. I'm one of them. Most of them live in the new city, but I don't. I live among the unlucky souls, the mutants and the destitute, and the wreckage of old San Francisco. My name's Tex Murphy. I'm a private detective. Or at least I used to be. Since my marriage hit the rocks, I haven't done much of anything. I went out tonight for the first time in a week, but all I ended up doing was spending the last of my money on a bottle of cheap bourbon. Now it's past midnight, and I'm staring out of the window of my office on the second floor of the Ritz Hotel. Just like me, the Ritz used to be something. Now it's just another grimy building in a rundown part of town. And I'm almost out of bourbon.
My God, Murphy, you look like hell. Really hit bottom, didn't you?
Oh, I usually don't look this bad. I forgot to take my Geritol this morning. So, you want a drink? I saved my first one to have with you.
No, thanks. I've been dry for 8 years now. Yeah, one morning I just looked in the mirror and decided I needed to make a few lifestyle changes. Quit smoking, quit drinking. Now I'm getting out of the business. Yep, I'm gonna move to the tropics and retire in a nice secluded island with a tribe of beautiful young women.
You're getting out of the business? I guess that means the end of the world must be around the corner because you are the detective. I can't imagine you doing anything else, especially not running around an island with a bunch of nubile women in a loincloth.
Oh, I can imagine it. I've been thinking about it for years now. Yeah. You know how it is. Lonely. Underappreciated. Dangerous. I haven't had a decent night's sleep in 38 years. I tell you, I'm working on a case right now, and that's going to be my last one. Oh. Enough about me. How about you, Tex? How's life treating you? Bad as it looks?
Well, it depends. What day is it anyway today? Saturday? Well, Saturdays aren't too bad. It's normally Thursday by the time I get really suicidal. So what is it you wanted? Just come by to sprinkle a little salt into the open wounds of my pathetic life?
No, Tex, you got me all wrong. Nah, just because you turned me in and got me suspended and humiliated me in front of my peers. You sold me out. But that's all gonna pass. See, I quit hating you for that weeks ago. Like I said, I'll be leaving soon, and I didn't want to go with any loose ends dangling there to bother me in my golden years.
Hey, don't worry about me. When you tossed me out of the agency, it was the best thing that ever happened. Digging through dumpsters and sleeping in abandoned speeders, you helped me learn a great lesson. Because no matter how bad things are, they can always get worse.
So what happened to you? I heard you were doing pretty well there for a while. Did a hell of a job on that Martian memorandum case. What's your problem? You one of those people who can't live with success? Huh?
Well, I can live with it. I'm just afraid of commitment. Now you tell me something. Why wouldn't you talk to me 15 years ago? I was a stupid kid back then. Could have tried to understand why I told the ethics board what I did. I mean, I understand now that I was out of line and I made a mistake, but why'd you cut me off like that?
Because apparently you never learned the first rule of a PI. And never, ever betray your friends. Now, friendship goes beyond blood and race and politics. You gotta find out who your friends are, then you hold on to them. They're a precious commodity to people like me and you. Now listen, before I go, I came here with a warning. I heard your name mentioned in connection with a case that I'm working on, and you stay out of it. If you don't, somebody's gonna find you floating in the bay with a hole in your head. And I don't need any more strain on my conscience.
You know, frankly, I'm pretty insulted. Because I'm a pretty damn good detective, and I can take care of myself, thank you.
No! Let's remember what I said, Tex. Got no idea what kind of people we're dealing with here. Just keep out of my way. I'll send you a postcard.
Love the music.
So last night, after 15 years, the colonel walks into my office. Made me take a good hard look at myself. Maybe I have hit bottom, and maybe I do look like hell. Lord knows the only exercise I've had lately is tipping the bottle and flipping cards into my hat. I gotta find some work. Contrary to what the colonel might think, I'm as good a detective as he ever was. Now I just gotta prove it. I'm gonna scare up a job today, even if it means finding somebody's lost puppy.
And we are back in control of our own destiny, or at least we're able to move around. Nice little opening movie there. Some of it won't make much sense, like why James Earl Jones's disembodied voice is watching us and exactly who he is. But yeah, we get a lot more of Tex's background in that opening scene than we have in any of the previous games. And we find out that Tex's fortunes have fallen a bit since Martian Memorandum. He no longer has a secretary, he no longer has the money to spend on paying off informants, and he's now stuck living in his office post-divorce, which, well, we'll find out more about his ex-wife looking around the place. But this is the new and improved interface, which was quite revolutionary for its time. Nobody really did 3D rendering at that point. So we're moving around, and then when we're ready to stop and look at something, we hit the space bar, and it'll bring up the interface. And we move around the cursor, and got a magnifying glass for looking, and if we can do something else, it'll give us a get option, move option, open, talk, or turn on and off. And we don't have anything in our inventory yet, but we'll click on that, and then we can use items, combine items in our inventory, examine them to see if we get more clues. Travel, of course, gives us the option of going over places, but right now, all we'll have is Tex's office. And the hint button, I'm not going to hit this because just going to the hint menu takes a point off your schedule. Or not your schedule, your score. And the text button here turns on the descriptive text instead of just depending upon the voice acting to relay the descriptions.
That hutch holds a life's worth of knickknacks, paddywhacks, and the world's largest piece of elbow macaroni. That's a perfect bed for a destitute PI. Small, lightweight, no sheets required. I call this painting The Big Spill.
And while this rendering technology is, very good for the time, you nevertheless do start to see gaps in it when you get close to items. Like, for instance, suddenly this very flat stereo.
My phonograph's an old family heirloom. I love to play the classics. Kool and the Gang, Peaches and Herb.
And hey, we got points just for turning on the record player.
This pure mountain spring water is indispensable, literally. I'm out of paper cups.
Yeah, this got a nice view of the brown, dingy street.
Things look pretty slow on the street today. The Scotch Guard that Rudy's upholstering service put on my office chairs will stand up to anything. And I ought to know.
And that little bit on the wall is flat as well.
Well, since the building inspector has only one eye and no depth perception, the hotel manager painted fire extinguishers in all the apartments. It saved him a bundle. The stupid light switch is stuck in the on position. Could be worse, I guess. All I've ever needed was a soft felt fedora, a well-tailored overcoat, and a comfy pair of sneakers. Some people know what they like, and they stay with it.
You ever wonder why the adventure heroes always wear the same thing every day? Now you know.
Great-great-grandpa Murphy made it through the Depression by teaching cha-cha lessons to rich older women. He made thousands before the authorities found out he had no formal training.
And yeah, a bit of a joke there, but of course that's a reference to the Arthur Murray School of Dance. But this sets up a rather interesting little continuity point that Tex, in order to make ends meet when the detective thing is slow, has started making ends meet as a dance
The
instructor.
office was actually a dance studio before I moved in, and Latin dancing is a Murphy family tradition.
And that looks like a very flat glue gun, but it is in fact our trusty sidearm.
Old trusty sidearm. Been with me since the beginning. You want some of this, huh? Bam, bam! Hey, bam, bam, bam! Bam! Bam, bam! Bam! And you! Hey, Sonny, can you help me out? My girlfriend threw my gun out of the window. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just pick it up and, hey, don't point that thing up here. That's not a toy, you know. Oh, my hell. No matter how bad things got, I always had my gun. Now I've lost that, too. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those days.
And spiritually, that's a bit of a nod to how this game is going to be different from the first Tex Murphy game. There will not be any shooting. There will be no gunfights. We're going to have to rely on our wits. God help us.
Oh boy, mail.
And there's a fair bit of mail. So now we'll go into our inventory. Let's see. This gift certificate entitles the holder to one free cosmetic job, nose, boob, etc., courtesy of the Real You Surgery Clinic. 30 minutes to a better you. And we got a sales flyer. Grand reopening sale. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., the electronics shop will open its newly remodeled store and offer a veritable bonanza of bargains. Dongles, fax machines, remote control toys, stereos, vidphones, doohickeys, fingers, whatchamacallits, and much, much more. One of each in stock. Be sure to check out the unbelievable prices on our line of dandy products. These products are, of course, not on sale. Remember to bring your electronic shop credit card. Cash not accepted, credit card required to enter the shop. And plan to stay late, you won't believe the details. Deals. Haha.
A pre-approved electronic shop credit card application addressed to the previous occupant. Just needs to be signed, stamped, and mailed.
Well, that sounds promising. Particularly because, as we look around the office...
Oh, great. Another incoming message that won't print out. If I don't get a new fax machine, I'll be out of business.
Yes, in the far future of 2042, fax machines are essential office equipment.
This piece of art is called Two Whales on a Bender. This one really isn't art, it's a placemat from Taco Bob's. The UI of U was the only place that would accept me. Half the course credit was earned by locating the university. I spent weeks earning this baby. Best $20 I ever spent. I love my comfy chair. I just wish it wouldn't be so easy to tip over whenever I got drunk.
And this right here is our computer. Crime Link suspect identification system, registered to Alberto Smith. Yes, we're pirating our software. But this will help us with finding suspects, or at least narrowing it down based on any clues we can get.
CrimeLink computer is the only valuable piece of equipment left in the office. By entering suspect information like height, weight, and hair color, I can access the suspect's personal files. This cabinet is where my old successes go to die. Nothing here but nostalgia.
Alright, while we're moving around, there are other things we can do besides move. We can, in fact, tilt the camera to look up, look down. And we can also get down on the floor. And stand up to our full height. Which is useful if we need to look down on something, like, say, a desk drawer that is otherwise hard to look at. And it looks very empty, unless we creep just above it.
One last $10 stamp waits patiently to be licked and mailed.
And just to make sure.
As usual, it's a mess.
And nothing in there. And let's go and look at the rest of the contents of Tex's desk.
Hip-hop English keeps me up on all the slang kids are using today.
And fortunately, it gets a little pixelated in the close-up view, but when we go here, Toxic Taste.
Toxic Taste is a novel by Lou G. Trundle, the only mutant popular enough to make the New York Times bestseller list.
And this oddly flat object is the phone.
My phone had worked perfectly if it hadn't been disconnected.
And we have World War IV.
World War IV. A dark and reactionary vision of the coming century by Rush Limbaugh III.
Wow, so in this reality, Rush Limbaugh actually bred. Shocking. And a little bit of an Easter egg here. Shout out to the first game. That picture is of the woman on the front cover of the Mean Streets game box.
Ah, Sylvia, my ex-wife. Whenever I think things can't get any worse, I think about her and how she totally screwed up my life. She's a woman who loves a man, any time. I'll never forget the day I came home early and caught her with the upholstery man.
Oh, there you are. I just got done with the chair. I'll be sending the bill to your husband.
Oh, Rudy. Let's not think about my husband right now. I was watching you upholstery and you're so big and strong.
Do you really think so?
Well, yes. God, I've only known you for 10 minutes and I feel like I've known you forever. Oh, yes, look. And look at this muscle. Oh. The way you hold me, Tex never held me like this. Oh, kiss me, Rudy, and set my lips on fire.
Okay.
Cut! That's the worst acting I've seen in my time as an FMV director.
Oh, Tex, honey. I wasn't expecting you home so soon.
Clearly.
Well, duh. Obviously. Now I know why the Roto-Rooter man keeps calling and asking whether we need our plumbing checked. Well, I gotta admit, those chairs look pretty good.
Thanks. Listen, how about I don't charge you on the labor and we call it even?
Fair enough. But from here on out, Rudy, customer servicing doesn't include my wife.
See, honey? I saved you some money again. Aren't you happy?
I married her for better or worse. Unfortunately, it never got any better.
So, yeah, that was, of course, Sylvia Linsky, the lady who hired us to prove that her father didn't kill himself back in Mean Streets. Apparently, she and Tex did have a bit more of a whirlwind romance than was suggested. And, well, it was a hurricane romance, or whirlwind romance. A lot of sucking and blowing, and then Tex lost everything.
I love murder mysteries. To be a fictional detective. Everything would be so much simpler then. The fabulous Dior lamp. I bought it for 77 cents. Nothing in here but a pen. This is probably the only writing utensil that works in the whole office.
Technically true, it's the only writing utensil in the office. But now that we have a full inventory, we can start making use of some things. We can now combine objects. So we'll combine the application with the pen. And then we take the stamp and put it on the filled out application. And we now have a ready to mail application.
I need to run this thing down to the auto post box on the street.
Which seems like as good as cue as any to... An interesting thing is if we look at here we can see the newsstand, there's nobody there, but when we step out, the newsstand will be manned, or womaned as the case may be.
The air outside feels thick, like I'm breathing through a pair of dirty gym socks. It's a high radiation day. Most everyone will be staying inside, but I need to hunt for some work. I always like to start the day with the traditional PI breakfast. That hits the spot.
Just say no, kids. And yeah, behold the glory of post-apocalyptic San Francisco in the background there. Trying to get off this fire escape is a bit of a pain. Thankfully, we can fast travel to the street from now on. So yeah, let's take a quick little tour of our neighborhood. Got rubble here. Radioactive area, please stay clear. Got a trash can here. Over here on this one corner is the Brew and Stew, the local diner. Opposite it is a pizza bar run by Franny, a proud and noble Italian stereotype. Got the electronic shop.
This is the brand new electronic shop outlet. No pun intended.
Which
I won't be able to get inside the electronic shop until I get a membership card.
Not that it matters because their grand reopening isn't until tomorrow anyway.
These posters somehow survived the big war. They're bitter reminders of the past glory of this great city. I like to stand by these, waiting for a glimpse of Rita. Louis Laments runs the Brew and Stew, which is a local hangout. Francesca Lucido makes the spiciest pizza in the city. The only thing spicier than her cooking is her imagination. And right now she seems to have a thing for me.
And here is the post box. So go ahead and use that on that.
The Postal Service has gotten much faster since the stamp price went to $10. I should get my credit card back tomorrow morning.
Alright, and with that accomplished, we'll finish doing a quick tour of the neighborhood. That's Rook's Pawn Shop.
Rook Garner runs this pawn shop.
And there's the Ritz Hotel where we live.
On the top floor of this place is where I hang my hat. It's not much, but it's better than... well, it's not much. The Bijou Theater used to be quite a night spot. It was condemned years ago and could collapse any day. There's no way I'm going in there.
Not that there's any way for us to get in there, because the doors are all blocked and we can't select them.
I heard this newspaper box got destroyed right after Chelsea opened her newsstand. Coincidence?
Probably not.
These fire hydrants are commonly used by the locals to mark territory in front of their respective business establishments. These signs around here haven't been replaced in at least 50 years.
And in fact, those signs read 2-hour parking, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., parallel parking, and no parking. And up here, we'll see that great San Francisco landmark Coit Tower. Actually,
That great old landmark, the Coit Tower, rises high above the skyline. Coit Tower was once a majestic landmark. The wiener stand on the patio at the base of Coit Tower made the best chili dog in town. No one's here right now, though, so I better check back later.
but we are exploring, and we got this building here.
Rusty the Clown's novelty shop. Closed down a few months ago after Rusty mysteriously disappeared. The police suspect foul play, but I think he probably just choked to death on his own bad jokes.
And got an Acme warehouse.
The Acme warehouse is the former Snow White dry cleaning building. Nobody's used this place in a while.
And Golden Gate Hotel.
The Golden Gate Hotel was once known as the Waldorf of the Pacific. Its halls are still sturdy, and the walls have worn well. But there's nobody living inside.
Ah, Dan Fogelberg references. Gotta love them. And that's pretty sure thing. And then there's our car.
My trusty 31 Lightning Bolt speeder. I still regret not getting the sunroof option.
And note the Private Dick license plate. And finally the newsstand with the one person we see on the street who becomes a little flat the closer we get to her.
Chelsea's a hot little number. I hear she's a mutant, but it doesn't show. The only weird thing about her is she won't go out with me. Chelsea runs a first-rate newsstand.
And, yes. Here's Chelsea. She becomes very important to the series later on, but from what I remember, in this first game, they didn't really intend for her to be a real love interest for Tex. Later games, that can change.
Chelsea Bando's the kind that could hold her own with anyone, but she has a way of turning my knees to jelly. She's a mutant, just like everyone else in this part of town, but she's a real beauty.
Well, hello, stranger.
Let's see. Subtle innuendo, lovesick puppy act, or charmingly curious. I'm thinking we play it cool with this one.
Tell me, gorgeous, has the new True Detective come in yet?
Yeah, but you gotta pay for it this time. Hey, when you finish a magazine, it is in no condition to sell.
Let's see. Sarcastic retort, deeply insulted, macho PI talk. Let's go with the macho, because I don't think insulting her or acting insult is going to help matters. Not that it'll get us anywhere in this game, but pays to be polite.
Well, think of it this way, Chelsea. Reading True Detective makes me a better PI, and good PIs are hard to find.
Well, you know, Tex, you just might have a chance to show how good a PI you are. Had you heard that Rook's place got robbed?
Let's see. On the case, I'm concerned. Nobody yearned for information.
No, I didn't. What do you know about it?
And that gives us a chance to start asking her questions. So let's get right to business.
Yeah, you know, I remember Rook told me about the burglary. You know, I remember a stranger hanging around the past couple of days. It might be a dead end, but I seem to remember that the guy had these bright green eyes and a tattoo of an anchor on his arm.
And if you remember anything from Mean Streets and Martian Memorandum, you bet we're taking notes. So, bright green eyes, tattoo of an anchor. And we might as well ask about everything else in our list.
Rook acts like a tough guy, but he's a softie. Just don't tell him that to his face. Oh, you know me, Tex. I'm just making ends meet.
Louis?
I love Louis, but his friendliness doesn't fool me. He's a sharp one. He knows everything that's going on in this neighborhood.
All right.
Franny's a live wire. Either she or Sal is going to do time for killing the other one. I have never seen a couple fight like they do. Sal's a handful. He's a nice guy, but I don't know, I feel kind of naked when he gives me the eye.
No doubt he's imagining you naked when he's giving you the eye.
Luckily, Ardo seems to like me. I mean, if I were on his bad side, I'd be tempted to relocate. He could crush a Subaru with one hand. Wish I could help you there, Tex.
Okay, yeah, she doesn't know my old mentor.
I remember Rusty. He had a kid show on TV when I was young. I hated the show. That clown makeup always scared me.
All right, well, that's all we can get from her at the moment. And Rooks is right here, so let's go see about getting ourselves officially employed.
Rook Garner runs this pawn shop. He's a crusty old World War III vet with a face like a raisin and a tongue like a butcher's cleaver.
What do you want, Murphy?
Yeah, we find out later that the relationship between Tex and Rook is much more adversarial. So let's go with, well, we could go cautiously inquisitive. Let's go caustic wit.
Looks like someone didn't get enough fiber in his breakfast this morning.
Shut up, Murphy. The last thing I need right now is a yappy-mouthed wise guy.
Cheerfully apologetic, sarcastic, inquisitive. Oh, let's go with cheerful apology.
Sorry, you just look like you could stand to be lightened up a bit.
I just got my wallet lightened. Does that count?
Last night someone broke into my pawn shop. I don't usually have anything of great value, but yesterday I gave out a fair amount of cash for an extremely valuable diamond bracelet.
How much is a fair amount of cash?
In this case, $8,000.
I didn't know you kept that much cash.
I don't usually, but I sold a few things earlier, so I had just over $8,000.
The bracelet was pawned by a young girl named Emma Nimpton. She said she hated to hawk a family heirloom, but had no choice. She said she would reclaim the bracelet in a month. Well, since the bracelet was worth 10 times the $8,000 I loaned her, it was a good deal for me.
I think you've been played for a sap, Rook.
Maybe. She left me a number, and I called it this morning, but the line is disconnected.
So do you have any leads on recovering the bracelet?
No, the police are a waste of time, and I can't afford to hire a decent PI.
Let's see, deeply offended, slightly offended, offended but looking for work. Well, we are looking for work.
I guess this means you don't consider me good enough to help track down the bracelet?
I'd appreciate your help. I'm not a rich man, but if you find the bracelet, I'll owe you a few favors, which could come in handy. Come back here and I'll show you where they broke in.
Rook takes me out back and shows me where the burglar broke in. The back window is busted out and the latch is ripped. It's a sloppy job. As I start my investigation, I'm looking for information to enter into my CrimeLink computer back at the office. One thing's for sure, Emma Nimpton won't be one of the suspects' names. Every PI worth his salt knows that's not my name spelled backwards.
All right, well, first mission accomplished. We have got a job. But before we go ahead and start investigating the crime scene, I think this is a good place to stop this first chapter. And next time we will begin searching the scene of the crime. I'll see you then.